Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Premier Injuries Daily Update. Now, we have lots of fixtures ahead of the blank game week 27 to kick off 4 Premier League ties happening on Wednesday and Thursday, with 2 Champions League games and also a Europa Conference game. Now, we kick off at Burnley. They entertain Tottenham, and the home side have a couple of slight injury doubts. Weghorst was seen icing his knee after the win over Brighton on Saturday. Fortunately, that doesn't look to be anything serious. Sean Dyche fully expects the striker to recover from that. In a similar vein, Maxwell Cornet, he took a knock from McAllister from behind, caught his Achilles, but again, that's just more of a knock, nothing too serious. Question marks whether James Tarkowski and Ashley Westwood can recover. Both of those players missed the win over Brighton after testing positive for COVID. Neither player had trained on Monday. We're waiting to see if they managed to submit a clear test on Tuesday to stand any chance. However, Sean Dyche did say that performance at the weekend was probably one of the best of the season, and the likes of Jack Cork, certainly that was his best performance of the season, and also Nathan Collins come in and done a fantastic job. So it's going to be a big call from Sean Dyche should Tarkowski or Westwood be past fit. Elsewhere, Charlie Taylor, he's been managing a foot problem for quite a while now. He's going to be touch and go for this one. I certainly think Eric Peters starts there in the left back slot. But if he does miss out midweek, then Charlie Taylor will be in the squad against Crystal Palace this weekend. So that's one to watch. Obviously, Eric Peters has been a good budget buy so far. For Tottenham, the visitors, a huge talking point was the availability of Harry Kane, particularly after that performance at the Etihad. He was fantastic. Look back on form. Now, there was nothing mentioned post-match from Antonio Conte, but there was local journalists did report that Harry Kane left the stadium. He was walking rather gingerly, appeared to be in quite a bit of pain, and that relates to a lower back problem that he picked up in the game. However, Antonio Conte basically said that his importance to the team means that if he's got one leg, he's playing. So if he's to be believed, there are no doubts or question marks over whether Harry Kane will start at Turf Moor on Wednesday night. So that's great news for Harry Kane owners, me being one of those. For Watford, another big player is the availability of Manuel Dennis. Of course, a double game week attracted lots of FPL managers to invest in him, and he rewarded them with a goal, his first in quite a while. And Watford had a great result down at Villa Park. However, there were worries that Manuel Dennis left the pitch in and around that 86th minute, didn't look comfortable, but thankfully, that appears to be fatigue related, a touch of cramp. We know that João Pedro and also Kuka are the only 2 late fitness tests for the game. So that suggests that Emmanuel Dennis is fine. Of course, Nicholas Onkulu, he's more of a long-term absentee, but he is training. He hasn't joined the squad yet. He's probably maybe 10 to 14 days away from doing that. Crystal Palace, they also play. Now, a couple of question marks here, and also the return of Conor Gallagher. Of course, he couldn't face his parent club, Chelsea, at the weekend. Palace lost that game narrowly 1-0. Now, we've seen Vicente Guaita replaced at halftime, and Patrick Vieira indicated that it was a problem at the back of his knee. Very vague, didn't give any kind of sort of indication whether it could be muscle-related impact injury or in and around that joint. So we don't really know what's going on in there. However, what Patrick Vieira did say on Tuesday was only 2 players have failed to train. Now, we know Nathan Ferguson is out for around about another month with a hamstring problem, and also Joel Ward, he missed the game at the weekend with Nathaniel Klein coming in at right back, and that's likely to remain the same. So hopefully we will see Conor Gallagher, Vicente Guaita, and also Will Hughes was in and around that squad. Of course, he had been a doubt after picking up a knock against Brentford. He'll be in a better position to potentially start, but of course, we did see the return of Chico Kouyaté. It was his first appearance since AFCON at the weekend. For Liverpool, we have heard from Jurgen Klopp. He basically said that the likes of Roberto Firmino and Diogo Jota have no chance for the game against Leeds. He wouldn't commit on whether either player would be available for the Carabao Cup final this weekend, although he will give them every chance. However, what I would say, when spoken to on Saturday, he did say the fact that Roberto Firmino was going to be out, a serious doubt, and could be out for quite a while, whereas Jota wasn't as serious as first thought. So his ankle ligament problem maybe gives him a chance. But like I say, neither player is training with the squad at the moment. So the chances of them being available as it currently stands, is very, very slim, particularly Roberto Firmino. I don't expect him to recover. Their visitors, their opponents on the night, Leeds, a lot of talk. The big talking point, of course, this weekend was the concussion or head injury to Robin Koch. Now, Marcelo Bielsa said that his forced withdrawal was mainly due to that impact injury and the fact that they couldn't stem the blood, as opposed to concussion. Of course, headway, and everybody been highly critical of the protocols in place, and they think they need tightened up. They say that that player should have been withdrawn immediately. Marcelo Bielsa denies the fact that he displayed any concussion symptoms initially, and it wasn't until a little bit later on that he was withdrawn. Now, you know, clinicians, practitioners, the physios, the club doctor, could have went on the field, and yes, they would have went through that on-field scat assessment, you know, looking for any visible signs or red flags that a player may have suffered a concussion. And quite rightly, yes, through conversations with the player, there may have been nothing overtly wrong at that particular point in time. What I would say is, in terms of player assessment and, you know, what's happening on the pitch, there isn't enough time there. You know, typically we're looking at least 10 minutes to go through the full assessment to try and determine whether a player is concussed or not. During that small window of opportunity, you know, you're relying on the player as well to open those lines of communication. And quite rightly, if there's nothing evident and the player's saying he's fine, then you have to assume that, you know, not all head injuries are concussions. They did say to the player that if you do start to feel some symptoms, dizziness, lightheadedness, or just not feel right, go down on the field of play and you will be withdrawn and substituted straight away. Subsequently, that happened. So maybe those symptoms of that concussion have been slightly delayed. What the club have released a statement saying that he will be going through concussion protocol. Now, because it's an enhanced care setting, that means that Robin Koch cannot return to play before that 6-day period. So he has been ruled out of the game against Liverpool. Early team news for Leicester, who play in the Europa Conference on Thursday. Harvey Barnes, he was absent from the matchday squad on Sunday due to a tight hamstring. That was more of a precautionary measure, so we would expect him to return. Elsewhere in the squad, maybe a little bit too soon for Wesley Fofana. He only rejoined the group last Friday, but certainly he's getting very close. Manchester United, they're in the Champions League. They're playing away at Atletico on Wednesday night. Edison Cavani, a groin problem. Ralph Rangnick confirms that he will not be part of the travelling squad. In Arsenal, they also play in the Premier League against Wolves on Thursday night. Gabriel Martinelli will return after his suspension, and Mikel Arteta will have a decision to make with regards to Cedric Soares or Takiro Tomiyasu potentially coming in at right back. Of course, he's been managing an ongoing calf problem now for quite a while, but elsewhere the Arsenal squad looks pretty fine. And similarly, Wolves, they've basically got a clean bill of health. We've seen some of those long-term injury absentees return to the squad. Big one being Pedro Neto at the weekend. We also seen Yerson Mosquera play for the under-23s on Tuesday. So that's great news with regards to there. So they've basically got a clean bill of health. And one more bit of good news. Fantastic to see Christian Eriksen back again, provided another couple of assists in a behind closed doors game for Brentford on Monday against Rangers. Come through that unscathed. Now, Thomas Frank has said that he could be in contention to face Newcastle at the weekend. You know, given the amount of time that he's missed, 7+ months since his last competitive game, anything I would suggest would come from the bench, but it's great for Christian Eriksen to be in and around that. Just hope for our sake, you know, being a fellow Geordie, that we get the job done and maybe Christian Eriksen, you know, does his stuff in from game week 28 onwards. So that is your Premier Injuries Daily Roundup for now. If there's any more late and breaking news, of course, we will cover it. So if you're not subscribed, please press the button and you will be notified as soon as the latest video drops. Thank you for now.